wanted to talk a little bit, of course, about Howard Stern.
Thank you, Brian.
Howard Stern is a guy that I grew up watching. The reason why I'm in radio is because of Howard Stern, so there's no question about that. Love Howard. We had Casey Armstrong on, who's Howard Stern's longtime producer. We had him on yesterday. Howard's been in the news lately for this reason. Howard has been going after Donald Trump for the first time in years. He never did that. Him and Donald Trump have been friends for a number of years. Howard said yesterday, or recently, I think it was a few days ago, that the most patriotic thing Donald Trump could do would be right now if he resigned. I tend to agree with Howard on a lot of things. I agree with him on that. So Howard Stern had Anderson Cooper on the show. And as you know, Anderson Cooper, prominent anchor over there at CNN. He's been doing it for a long time. Probably, I think it's fair to say, if not the most famous, one of the most famous journalists on the planet. Anderson, I think, does a very, very good job. So if you recall, it was an absolute mess and a disgrace what took place with Carolyn Goodman, that interview on CNN with Anderson Cooper. It didn't go very well for Carolyn. And I look at the front page of the Review Journal the day after that interview, and I hung it up on my wall in my kitchen. It's a picture of Anderson Cooper with his hands over his face while Carolyn Goodman is answering one of his questions. I don't know if it was Carolyn Goodman talking about how she wants everything to reopen tomorrow, or maybe Carolyn Goodman was talking about how she wanted to use us as guinea pigs. I don't know. She said a lot of weird things in that interview, and it went viral all over the country, all over the world. So Anderson Cooper talked about that, and they had a little bit of exchange on the Howard Stern show, and I wanted you to take a listen to that. Here it goes.
Maybe 7 times your interview with the mayor of Las Vegas. I watch it purely as entertainment. I like watching you taking off your glasses, rubbing your face. It is so entertaining but so frustrating. I could never do your job because I would have just said, you're the mayor of Las Vegas, and what you're saying right now is idiotic. Now, you did say a couple of times to her, out of frustration, that what she was saying made no sense.
I said it was ignorant.
No, I'm not
We're
talking
back
about
to China. This isn't China.
Yeah,
this is Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow. Okay, that's really ignorant.
When you're in the middle of something like that, do you sit there and just say, sometimes my job is such bullshit, I can't really hammer this person the way I want to? Is it an exercise in restraint?
I actually think it's more powerful not to. Yes, you could scream at somebody, but then it's sort of where do you go from there? And then you're just another person who's screaming, and there's plenty of people screaming and calling each other names, and that's what the president does, and that's not who I want to be, and it's not how I want to live or even think. And so I'm much more interested in actually trying to tease something out. So, if a politician has, I had read that the mayor said we should open the casinos, open the strip. I thought, let's actually talk to her and sort of play that out and see if she has actually done any work on preparing for that or thinking about that. And so it's like with you, having real conversations, that's when it gets interesting, because when you actually start to tease out a person's ideas, sometimes you realize they haven't thought about it at all. And it is just a bumper sticker. And they reveal themselves to people in far more devastating ways than me just yelling at somebody, calling them a name.
Well, I'll say this about Anderson. He did a fantastic job in that interview, and he's very, very good. In my personal opinion,
he's a giant prick.
I disagree with you 100. I don't know why you would say that. I thought he did a really good job in that interview. I think those are two of the best. Two is some of the best in the business. I think Howard Stern is one of the best at interviewing people. He has been doing it for decades. He's made a career out of it. I've always said, people always ask me, why do you love Howard Stern so much? And I always tell them, you're not going to believe my answer, but here it's got nothing to do with the nudity, because these days there's more male nudity on his show than female nudity. It's got nothing to do with how dirty he is, although I think sometimes he's very, very funny. The reason why I've always loved Howard Stern, because I think he is the best on the planet at interviewing people. Doesn't matter what celebrity it is. It could be Hillary Clinton. It could be anybody. It could be Bill Clinton. Could be Obama. Could be Trump. Doesn't matter who it is. He is able to get the most out of somebody. He just did an interview with Tom Brady, and Tom Brady got more personal than he's ever been before with anybody. Tom talked about how his marriage was having some issues. Tom would have never done that with anybody else.
He also talked about Rob Gronkowski's penis.
He did.
Yeah. And he said that he doesn't like to shower. He thinks that NFL players shouldn't have to shower.
But the point I'm making is that Howard gets that out of people.
He does,
right.
I
mean, I don't believe Tom would have done that. Certainly not WEEI in Boston. Tom just doesn't do that. He's not a very, he doesn't talk about his personal life very often.
What about WRKO in Boston?
I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is Howard is a great interviewer. He's fantastic. And so is Anderson Cooper. I think Anderson Cooper does it a little bit of a different way in this sense. You know, Howard tries to be titillizing, I guess you could say. Howard tries to, be funny and entertaining. I'm not sure Anderson is that type of guy. He just tries to get out the information. He wants things to be interesting, and he tries to ask the relevant questions. And I think that's exactly what he did in that interview with Carolyn Goodman.
He's very sensitive, and he likes to be theatrical. He loves to be theatrical.
He's biased.
He's extremely biased.
Question about
and
Anderson's bias.
Carolyn Goodman tried not to answer several of those questions, and she was actually complimenting him multiple times during that interview. Anderson Cooper just kept pushing and taking advantage of her. And again, she's 83 years old. And he didn't, and I'm shocked that he wasn't aware that when he asked her the question, well, Carolyn, or no, Miss Goodman, would you go to the casino yourself?
Fair question.
And she said no. Well, how does Anderson Cooper not know that she, at 83 years old and as a former cancer survivor, would be considered high risk?
Okay, so let me respond to that.
I'm shocked that he didn't do enough due diligence, and then he references China under those circumstances, considering the fact that basically China has been lying to us for 3 to 4 months. She says we're not China. He says, that's very ignorant.
Okay, I'm going to forget.
Don't forget. Sorry.
Okay, so the thing you mentioned about him asking about her being in the casino. First of all, if the reason why she wasn't going to be in the casino is because she thought she was at a higher susceptible rate of getting the virus, and if she wanted to talk about her cancer, she could have brought that up. She chose not to bring it up. When he asked her and pressed her on it, you know what her response was? I'm not a gambler. She said, hold on, let me finish.
That's a fair reason, too.
Okay, first of all, she's not just any person. She's the mayor, and she's saying all these casinos should reopen. If the reason why she wasn't going in the casinos was because of that, because she thought she was susceptible to getting the virus, then she should have said that. Okay, this idea that that's why. I'm sorry, she didn't mention it. She mentioned two things. She mentioned she's a gambler. She doesn't gamble, and she also mentions, I go home and cook dinner for my husband. A mayor stands up for what they believe in, and a mayor should have said, I'm going to stand with those employees. I will go to the casino, and I will be on the front lines with them. Instead, she said she's not a gambler.
Why would she possibly do that, Brian? And here's the deal. I think casinos should be open, but if you're high risk, don't go. Stay home. Protect yourself. Mayor Carolyn Goodman is high risk, Brian. She's 83,
Why didn't she mention that? Why didn't she answer it then?
You just said that she sort of said that she is, she's going to stand by her employees. Why would she do that? She's high risk. She shouldn't have to do that. And my argument is that Anderson Cooper should have known. He should have known that she is high risk that she is a cancer survivor, and that it would make no sense for her whatsoever to actually subject herself under those circumstances, because it would be not safe for her. It would be detrimental to her health.
I can tell you that when anybody does a national interview with somebody, they don't get from the producers and all those people a health history of every mayor that comes on a show or every politician. So I'm sorry, I disagree with you on that one. And again, my point still stands. If that was her reasoning for not wanting to go to a casino, she should have said it. She answered the question by saying she doesn't gamble, and she looked like a dope by answering that question the way she did. It was a fair question by Anderson Cooper. It was more than fair. Do you stand by what you're telling everybody else to do? And she didn't answer the question appropriately, and she looked like a dope because of it.
Well, again, just because she wouldn't put herself in a situation that would compromise her own health does not mean that she doesn't stand by it, and it certainly doesn't make her a dope.
Yes, it does.
No, it does
not.
not.
It is my personal opinion that she wants by the way, it's not my personal opinion. She said she wants everything to reopen. She would have been totally okay with tonight 20,000 people at T-Mobile Arena not practicing social distancing. She has no idea what social distancing is. By the way, it's her own lobby. Hold on. It's her own lobby that is not open in her offices. She won't even open up her own lobby, but yet she wants 20,000 people at T-Mobile Arena. There is a reason why that interview went viral. And the reason why that interview went viral had absolutely nothing to do with Anderson Cooper and had everything to do with the answers that Carolyn Goodman
Excuse
gave.
you?
Yes.
Come on, Brian.
Because you're trying to interrupt.
No, I'm just sitting here with my mic next to my mouth.
Why
because
did it
at
go
some
viral?
point I'm going to talk.
Why did it go
Well,
viral?
look at the picture. It's got Anderson Cooper. He is taking off his glasses and he is drying them off with his eyes.
So it's
the funny thing is about if you actually watch the interview, that didn't happen after she mentioned the control group. That didn't happen at any weird situation where Carolyn Goodman was making a dope of herself or making a fool of herself. It just happened, and it was leveraged by the mainstream media as a reason as to why he was doing that. He was literally just cleaning off his glasses.
Let me
No.
interject.
In my opinion, JD, Anderson Cooper is a very savvy guy, and he knew that by taking his glasses off and rubbing his eyes, that was going to get some attention.
That would look like he was very, very heated.
He was being dramatic, and
Of course.
I think we all basically agree with that. I will say this about Carolyn Goodman, and to Brian's point about her foolish answers, the woman has not given a public interview since then, weeks ago, and she was everywhere. And she has not given an interview since then, and that speaks volumes.
Which is probably an intelligent decision.
Let me interject, and I'll reemphasize my point again, and I'll be very clear on this. The reason why the interview between Anderson Cooper and Carolyn Goodman went viral is not because Anderson Cooper put his hands over his face. The reason why the interview went viral is because of some of the ridiculous answers that our mayor gave Anderson Cooper. Anderson is not the reason. Now, he did a good job in the interview, and he pressed her on some issues. It is because of some of the ridiculous answers she gave.
Okay, so you think
that is why it went viral.
If she did that same interview, not on CNN, not on an outlet with 48.6 Twitter followers, 48.6 million Twitter followers, or not with Anderson Cooper, that under those exact same circumstances, without Anderson Cooper doing those antics and being theatrical and not and basically pressing her when she didn't want to be pressed, that it would have gone viral under the same circumstances?
Sure. I'll answer that question by saying this. CNN has a large listenership, but it's not the listenership that makes an interview go viral. Point being, they do about 100 interviews a day. Many of those interviews, if not all of them, do not go viral. So I will state it again. The reason why this interview went viral is because of her answers. Again, there are hundreds of interviews.
It's because of CNN.
Hold on. It's not because of CNN.
It is.
And here's why. I'll give you my answer why. And here's a fact.
I bet CNN would wish that every interview they did would go as viral as that.
It's ridiculous, and here's why.
They give a lot of boring interviews.
There are hundreds of interviews a day on CNN, and not one interview all year went as viral as that interview went. It has nothing to do with CNN, and it has everything to do with the answers that Carolyn Goodman gave. It's obvious to me, and the reason why it's obvious, your point doesn't make any sense. They do interviews every day. They don't go viral like that. It's because she made it viral with her ignorant answers. That's what made it viral.
She had some questionable answers. I will agree with that. I don't think she should do a lot of media, but I think that Anderson Cooper doing the things he did, especially this picture where it shows him wiping off his glasses and being theatrical, I think that definitely was a large part of why he went viral. Along with, well, he took off his glasses, to wipe his eyes, but along with the fact that obviously it is on CNN and they do have a major platform, not just on television, but also on digital media.
And like I said, there's hundreds of interviews that are on CNN every day, and they don't get viral like that one did. As far as wiping his eyes go, he wouldn't have wiped his eyes if she didn't answer questions the way she did. Anderson Cooper.
I don't think you know. How could you say that?
Here's how I can say that. Because name me another interview that Anderson Cooper has ever done in his career when he did that.
Where he's ever wiped his eyes during the interview?
Where he put his hands over his face, wiped his eyes like that, and then called somebody basically ignorant. Can you name me one other interview where he's ever done that?
He did that well before the ignorant comment.
Okay, but name me another interview that he's ever done that.
He did this in the middle of the interview when he was asking her questions.
So give me another
interview.
And
she wasn't answering them the way that he hoped that she would answer them. Just kind of like, you do on a consistent basis when Donald Trump says something that and you don't agree with the way that he said it. This has nothing to do with me.
I'm just saying, Anderson has been
doing
conduct
a lot of interviews.
Anderson has been doing that for doing this for decades, and I'm asking you to name one other interview, and the reason why you wouldn't be able to do so is because of the way she answered those questions. I'll say it again. It's not CNN. It's not Anderson Cooper. It's Carolyn Goodman, and that is the reason why this interview went viral, and it's also the reason why Carolyn Goodman has not done any interviews since then, and it's also the reason why there are people out there that want her recalled.